Hello there, it's me again, and this time I'm dangling in the middle of the night over 3,000 feet or 900 meters of ocean water, only attached to a single rope. So, how did my husband and I end up out here? The honest answer, I happened to see a single picture of a tiny squid on a Facebook diving page, and it sent me into a months long obsession. Now, before I get too far into the nitty gritty, let me explain that the craziest part of the dive was actually the months building up to it. This was not a simple sign up and go diving. It required 25 dives, advanced certification, and to go with the company onto a Manta night dive, which, man, they really had to twist my arm hard with this one. Honestly, this dive briefing felt kind of like prepping for a spacewalk, I imagine, with tethers, lights, and depth alarms. And I guess it really was similar, with the whole one oxygen tank keeping me alive. Anyway, the entire dive setup includes a 60-foot long rope with weight on the bottom to keep it straight, hanging in incremental areas alongside of the boat. This would keep us each set a distance apart, as you can see Chase dangling here. We are then connected to that long hanging rope, as you can see here, with a carabiner that allowed us to go up and down this rope so we could go to the surface and then about 50 to 60 feet down. The tether was then connected to our BCDs. I have a few more quick shots of the setup here, but without an ocean floor, reef, or wall, it can be really difficult to gauge the depth and how far you've drifted, especially when distracted by cool marine life, which is why we were tethered. Chase and I also set our dive computers to alert us at 70 feet, as there should be no way at all we reach that depth unless something went wrong or we got unhooked. Anyway, enough of that boring stuff. The stuff you really wanted to see were the actual marine creatures we saw. Now, I've attempted to ID some of the marine creatures we saw using the Jeff Milson Blackwater books and Mir's photo, as well as just good old Google, but definitely let me know in the comments if I've gotten any of it wrong. Right off early in the dive, Chase got to enjoy this interaction with this Achilles tang. It just kept circling him. It did not spook, did not go away. It was really feeling itself and showing off, as you can see from my perspective. Honestly, this dive was really tough though. It took probably about 20 overwhelming minutes to really get used to it. And I know that's like half the dive, but the water is rushing by pretty fast. And kind of every time you turn your light around and try and spot any of these creatures, it's just a blizzard of this marine snow, as you can see. And a lot of the critters are only the size of my finger or even smaller, and they disappear so fast when you shine the light on. I even had to slow that little crab video down so you guys could actually enjoy it. This clapper jelly honestly was one of the stars in the night. It's much larger than most of the tiny critters we had actually seen at the beginning, so we really got to watch it drift and pulse around, and the incredible bioluminescence. It really blew my mind seeing those rainbow flashes constantly, and it really didn't get spooked. It stayed around for a while. I'm gonna apologize ahead of time. This was only my 4th time filming underwater. My camera setup was not ideal, too wide of a lens, and our GoPros did not have the macro attachment. So some of the clips are blurry. If we got too close, you have to be a very specific distance apart with a certain amount of light. And these are still so incredible to witness, so we really wanted to share it with you guys, even if it's a bit blurry at times. This was hands down my favorite. It's a comb jelly in full feeding mode. Tentacles stretched way out, and for once having the wrong wide lens actually had worked in my favor. As you can see by those flashes, that was me taking some photos. But you can just see the expanse at this point. We're trying to show it on the video with all the lights pointed at it at this point. But the expanse of the tentacles in its feeding mode was really incredible and came out to be a pretty amazing photo to look at. And then as you saw, that fish hit its tentacles and it sucked it back in, and it is off. What an incredible thing to witness. I am absolutely still mind blown, if you can't tell by my excitement in my voice. I never really got into what this dive is. It's called a pelagic Blackwater dive, and it was located in Kailua-Kona on the Big Island of Hawaii. The dive happens over 3,000 feet of deep ocean water, and it's part of the largest marine migration in the world. It's a vertical migration, and it starts when the dark sets in, and billions of marine animals travel from the deep to the surface to feed, and then they descend back down in the morning to avoid predators. And surprise, Chase had to prove he was there as well and says hello. Now this footage I actually had to send to our dive master after we got back from the dive. These 4 salps were connected in a perfect square, which is incredibly unique, and he'd never seen a formation like this. So when I was describing it to him on the boat, he had no idea what I was talking about. The salps at the beginning of the animal video is actually how they're normally connected in this long chain. And right here, this tiny thing, maybe a larval squid, it looks so cute and I wish I had a better video of it. That was probably the squid that made me go on this whole adventure, but it darted right into the beam really quickly. I had to slow down the video so much, but I squealed and spent so much time spinning, trying to find it and film it again. Now this one happened at the last possible minute. It was right when I was actually supposed to be ascending and starting to ascend when I spotted this Venus girdle. It was drifting by and our dive master literally waved for me to keep filming when he saw what I was looking at. I caught it just before it actually curled into its signature kind of spiral. That's pretty unique. Usually you don't see them fully unwrap. They get startled easily and usually wrap right back up. After that surprise visit with the Venus girdle at the end, I got the flashlight flash from my dive master to continue ascending and to take my safety stop. So as Chase, who had waited for me as my dive buddy, we began ascending up our lines and taking our safety stops. It was here that I'm looking around. I'm looking down at the Blackwater. I'm looking up at the blurry edges of the boat in the absence of the other dive lights, and all I can do is listen to my breath as each bubble kind of comes out of the regulator, and I know he is with me. And every adventure I've done has this same pattern: obsession, preparation, suffering, and then this moment. The moment where the world is quiet and I feel closer to God than anywhere else. This Blackwater pelagic dive, even though more magical and less suffering than others, it was no exception. It was wondrous and beautiful, and it lights my life on fire. On an upbeat note, we had this cute little visitor attached to us that we did not notice for a little while, but he was safely released back into the water when we saw him. It's really funny how one cute little photo of a squid led me here to this moment. But if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe for more. And I'd really like to hear from you. What's one moment in your life when you stepped into the unknown? Whether it was a dive, a trip, or a calling, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below.